AITA for co-blocking my older brother. Obligatory throwaway, on mobile, and happened last week. So I, 24M, decided on a whim to visit my parents who live 2 hours away. When I showed up, my parents and my brother, 26M, were prepping to host a dinner party type thing. My parents were glad to see me, but my brother's always been kinda weird and didn't even acknowledge my presence, but it was chill and I've gotten used to it. Fast forward a few hours, their guests arrive and my parents' friends brought their daughter, who looked to be me and my brother's age, who I will call Iris for the sake of this story, with them. I was minding my own business and feeding my cat an egg when Iris came by to say hi, and she thought it was the coolest thing ever, and we started talking about animals and food, which branched off into a ton of other shit, and turns out we had a lot in common, so we kept chatting all night. This whole time my brother has not said shit to me or Iris at all and just watched us from across the dinner table, and as soon as dinner was over he dipped to his room while me and Iris played Overcooked. I went upstairs to invite my brother, but his door was locked and he was ignoring me, so I said fuck it and just played without him. As Iris and Go were leaving, we exchanged numbers and made plans while I was still in the area. As soon as the door closed, all hell broke loose. My parents started berating me because turns out, they set the whole dinner party thing up to try and get my brother and Iris together, and I apparently fucked the whole thing up. Told them that I had no idea and my brother has been ignoring me since I got back. My parents told me to lose Iris's number, and if she texted me I'm not to respond. This is the part where I may be an asshole. I told my parents to pound sand and that I was going to check into a hotel, and as soon as I was settled in I was going to text her. I've been talking to Iris and she told me that her parents don't really talk to my parents as much anymore, so I'm wondering if I fucked something major up. AITA here. Edit. Alright, since all of you are curious about the egg thing, it's a large grade AA egg that came from Costco, which I have lightly scrambled and left unseasoned, that I hand feed to my cat, who is a 6-year-old chonky tortoise shell. NTA. If your parents' plans were to set up Iris with your brother, they probably should have said something to you if it was that important. Also, clearly Iris made a choice to talk and hang out with you and not your antisocial brother, and for good reason if he's as standoffish as this post makes him sound. You gave him a chance to join in too. He acted like a petty child. If something is messed up between your parents and hers, that's not your problem, emo. Besides, y'all two sound like there could be a good friendship if nothing else, so I say keep texting. NTA. You had no idea what the gathering was about, and Iris is not a bundle of wheat to be sold to your brother. You had chemistry, and you two hit it off. Cheers to you. NTA. Assuming that you aren't a hunk who has a track record of taking girls away from your brother. Otherwise I would totally fall for the guy feeding an egg to his cat and talking to me versus the entitled pouty PTA who locked himself in his room because I wasn't handed over to him as agreed to by our respective parental overlords. Edit. PTA was supposed to be Pitta. Thanks for the awards. I wouldn't call this a cockblock because Iris clearly showed zero interest in your brother. Do your parents think that if you don't contact Iris, that she'll automatically go running to your brother, like their sons are the only potential suitors in the world? If it was so important that Iris be set up with your brother, why didn't he or your parents let you know beforehand? Hell, they even could have pulled you aside to let you know, or your brother could have privately chatted with you when you went up to his room. Instead, he was sulky and childish. I wouldn't be surprised if he was acting that way during dinner, which was a total turn off for Iris, while you feeding the cat an egg was an obvious turn on. NTA. AITA for telling my sister the reason why no one wants her at the family trips. So when I was 10 years old, my mother married my stepdad. It was a pretty smooth transition for me as my parents had been divorced for over 3 years by then, and I wasn't really all that close with my father. My sister, who was 13 at the time, on the other hand hated our stepdad. She would cry, throw a tantrum, tell him he's not her father if he ever tried to discipline her, etc. Stepdad tried his hardest to be a positive positive influence in our lives, but she wasn't having it. She even bullied our stepbrothers, 11 and 14 at the time, going so far as to making fun of their deceased mom. 14 would call her a brat and laugh it off, but 11 cried a lot. Any attempts to tell her off would result in her threatening to go stay with dad, and nothing was ever truly resolved. Even therapy didn't help much. And I must state here that my stepbrothers never bullied her, it was almost always one-sided. 14 would put 11 in his place if he ever acted out. Now that the context is out of the way, here comes the meat of this story. So our stepdad has a lakeside cabin, and every month on the second weekend he'd take us children there, to help us bond as a family and to give mom a break. It became somewhat of a tradition, one in which mom would join in too, but only occasionally, and helped us come together as a family. My sister refused to go, and after a year or so, stepdad stopped asking, telling her she's free to join anytime she so wants. She never did, until recently. We're in our mid to late 20s now, living in the same city. We've continued the tradition, but it's only once or twice a year, which increased during lockdown. My sister said she wanted to join in. Caught us all by surprise really, but mom says she's been wanting to come ever since she graduated from college. Stepdad agreed and she came along. It was awkward, to say the least. My brothers don't really like her, they're civil around her, but that's it. Even stepdad is tense and formal when she's around. It just kills the whole vibe. I guess she picked up on it and asked me what's wrong. So I told her that it's way too late to try and be a family now, and things are just way too awkward. Why try and force a relationship at this stage anyway, right? She got really mad and upset and is refusing to talk to me. So, AITA? NTA because she asked. It's awesome she wants to mend fences, and I get it, she was a kid when she was the major but the reality is, she is reaping what she sowed. Hopefully she is able to be kind and maybe the relationships can be repaired. But probably better to start with baby steps like a family lunch, or an afternoon apple picking instead of full-on multiple days long immersive togetherness. NTA. She made life miserable for everyone, and now, 15 plus years later, she wants to be a happy family. What you said may have been a bit harsh, but I can understand why. If she wants a relationship, it will take a lot of work on her part, but an apology would be a good place to start. I won't tell you to forgive her, but if she honestly apologizes, maybe hear her out. Your choice there. Info: does she regret her behavior? Is she willing to listen to them? Is she willing to apologize to them? I like that you were frank with her. It was needed. Would you guys maybe consider an open conversation with everyone? Getting dad and sons to express their feelings and a genuine apology from her would go a long way towards a better future as a family. Just a thought. She dug her own grave really. I can understand not liking a step-parent at first, but bullying your step-siblings and making fun of dead mothers is not okay. And she did ask you why the step-family doesn't like her. You answered honestly. NTA. AITA for refusing to hug my little sister because my girlfriend doesn't want me to. This might be a bit unusual. So for some background, I, 34M, have two siblings, a brother, 30M, and little sister, 23F. For the purpose of this post, we'll call them Paul and Abby. When we were younger, our mom had this rule that every morning and before we went to bed, we should give each other a hug. I asked my mom about it when I got older, and she said her parents had a similar rule and she thought it made her and her siblings closer. Eventually, around the time I went to college, Paul and I stopped hugging every day because I found it pretty awkward. However, up until now, I would hug Abby whenever we were together anyway. Paul does the same. Currently, all of us live together. Last night, my girlfriend, 35F, was staying over, and we were sitting on the couch. Abby said she was going to bed, so I gave her a hug. After she went inside, my GF said that it was really weird and that I was babying Abby. She told me I shouldn't hug Abby anymore. This morning, when Abby tried to hug me, I told her she shouldn't anymore, because she's grown up now and it's kind of weird. Abby just said okay, then left. She didn't really talk to me for the rest of the day. It's been pretty awkward, because all of us are home all the time, since her school and our work is all online. Paul later came up to me and said I was being a dick. I told him it was my GF who told me not to hug Abby, and he said that it was stupid, she was jealous of a kid, and she was being creepy. I feel bad, but I don't want to make my GF uncomfortable. AITA? There's nothing wrong with hugging your sister. There is something wrong with your girlfriend dictate how to act with your siblings and you agreeing to it. There is nothing wrong with hugging your sister. It's not babying your sister to give her a hug. That's a very normal thing to do. There's nothing weird about being affectionate with your family. I have many ideas for why your girlfriend would want you to stop hugging your sister, and none of them are good. And so is your girlfriend. People don't age out needing of hugs. You were still comfortable hugging each other, so you should keep it up. It's perfectly normal for families to do. For immediately going along with your girlfriend and hurting your sister's feelings. Your girlfriend is being really creepy that she's sexualizing and is jealous of a hug with your sister. People have different levels of affection between siblings and families, yes, but it's weird she referred to it as babying her. Since when is hugging someone babying them? I'm concerned with the amount of affection she'd show your future children long term if she thinks a hug is too much affection. Also, shame on you for not questioning her and having a further conversation about it and standing up for something your family likes to do. Ask your girlfriend why it makes her uncomfortable and have a conversation with her as to your boundaries and expectations on being told what to do out of weirdness and jealousy. There's a few reasons why she may think it's uncomfortable and none of them are good. Go apologize to your sister, give her a hug and talk it out with your girlfriend and tell her to stop being weird. So, your GF is uncomfortable with you hugging your little sister and told you to stop hugging her? What is going on in her brain? Here's a preview of your life. She's gonna say she's uncomfortable with you telling your family you love them next. Then say she's uncomfortable with you being around them and force you to move. Next, she'll say she's uncomfortable with you communicating with them and to cut them off completely. Boom, you're stuck in an unhappy relationship with no one to turn to because your GF was uncomfortable with the healthy relationship you have with your siblings.